opens the camera, you see the POV from the drone. It's like flying. It's
flying.
up there in the sky really high.
But the point isn't to disagree while you're on set. The point is to like, okay, how can I make his vision better? How can you make my vision better? How can you make my job easier?
That's why you're there for. To support, to help, to make it better, to bring that value.
You run until you can, and then you pass to the other person. And then the goal is to reach and be first, you know?
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Unboxed Creativity. Today is just your core crew over here, your skeleton crew. It's myself, Fernando, we have Emmanuel, and we have Val. And we're gonna talk about some projects that we've been working on, and we thought it was important for us to have an episode of just those projects with just us in it. So I want to get started with something really cool that Val is doing with Hazelnut, which is a photo shoot, a studio. How does that really work, Val?
So the part of like promoting your own business is always tricky. And I do have a lot of people just reaching out through other projects I've worked or people I've worked with. But I always try to think, how do I promote? And I know there's tons of social content you could do and all that, but I'm a little bit bad at it. And I'm like, okay, I'm a people person. So I'm like, if we do a takeover in my favorite place ever, which is Create Coffee and Studio, we can do something cool, and I can communicate with the people, with myself, like what is Hazelnut all about. So we normally have like one main request, headshots, and for all kind of people, but I always try to push having a studio. And of course, the prices go a little bit up, and then the client is like, I don't know, we can do it in my living room. And I'm like, yes, we could, but the studio is amazing. So I decided to just make this event happen. It's a headshot event. And if you're in Orlando and you need your headshot, come over. It's the May 18th. And we're just gonna be there. I'm encouraging everyone to just check out the spot too and create it. Like if you're a creator, nobody take picture of us. So just come over and get your headshot for your website or your LinkedIn or your Instagram. So that's all about it. Right there, we're gonna have, we still have the ongoing crowdfunding, and I really wanna push that. It's been like 2 weeks.
So tell us about that crowdfunding that you're gonna do.
So the crowdfunding started 3 weeks ago. First week took off really cool. A lot of people donated, and then I started this social media effort, just posting one BTS picture every day.
That's the crowdfunding for your newest project, the documentary Empowering, right?
Is that the first crowdfunding you're talking about, or the second one?
The second one.
Okay.
So this is the second time around we tried this. The first time we were able to produce the whole thing. Even the last couple bucks that we spent was in the studio on February that we filmed the last interviews. And then from there, it's been just the new crowdfunding, which is for the post-production, meaning I really want to have a great sound designer and maybe have you being the second editor so my brain can rest, because I'm gonna take care of the whole narrative. So with that said, I needed money again. I started again crowdfunding, this time showing all the progress. People really liked it. We have 9,000 views so far.
Ooh.
So we're about to hit the 10K. So people have been sharing and watching, and
it's a beautiful story. So.
Yeah, and it's growing. Even our social media is growing. We're like 150, like very engaging crowd. So I'm really excited for that. But of course, it got slow like 2 weeks ago, and I start getting very anxious.
Yeah.
I'm like,
so in the event at Create Coffee, shop and studio, you're gonna have the crowdfunding.
Two
opportunity
things,
there.
exactly. I'm trying to have my flyer with the QR going to the thing. So if you don't know about it, you can talk to me about it.
That's awesome.
And then the second option is that we're gonna make super cute shirts and hoodies and well a little bit of bucket hats. And
You
so
heard that.
it's
You
gonna be
gotta go get your merch.
yeah, it's gonna be Hazelnut swag, which we're gonna kill it with that. But it's gonna be the purpose of it is crowdfunding and keep the fundings going for the project because it's really, really, really important for us to, be done by October, which is again the Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So by then, I wish I'm gonna be super, super done and ready to go film festival. So please help us. We can drop here the link to our Indiegogo, know more about the project, follow us on Instagram and see how the progress and all this have been. These guys have been super, super important to the project and it's looking good. Today, I'm in the 15-minute editing and it's looking great. So I'm very, whether we reach the whole goal or not is going, I'm not gonna stop by, oh, you only raised $600. No, I mean, I'll do something with it. But, I'm a overachiever, a big dream person. I'm like, this, with a little bit of money, can reach a higher standard, and that's how it goes.
The more money you are able to raise with that, the better the final product is going to be in the sense that you can bring more creatives in.
Exactly.
Which doesn't mean that with less money, you're not able to still do something amazing.
Exactly.
Right? So that's the thing. It's like, if she has a couple more hundred, then she can bring in another, sound designer, composer, color correction person, animator to create some titles for it. So the more money you're able to bring more people, obviously.
Exactly. But most importantly is the story, and the story is great. It's worth to tell. My heart tells me every day that this is the right thing to do. So for me, that is not unchangeable. Like, that is happening.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome.
and that's when you know that the project is really worth it. If you find the story, you have to bet for it and see what's the change you make with it.
I love it.
I love that.
Yeah.
What you got going on right now?
This month has been one of my busiest months. And it's funny, like I always tell people, I've been telling people the past month, it's been my busiest month, but it's the month where I have to spend the most amount of money.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I guess this is how life is gonna be. Like you're not gonna be like, oh great, I made 10 grand, I'm keeping 10 grand. You're like, oh great, I made 10 grand, now I gotta spend 8 grand. And then you kind of level yourself out. So it's always funny how that's kind of going. But it's been a great month of freelance work and a lot of working with new people as well, going out. And something I've realized that I've been playing around and doing is when I'm not the DP, understanding that like what is the DP thinking and what can I do without him having to say anything to help him out. Since I've been assisting a lot, I've noticed that's always been the most helpful of just going out and like, the DP, you can tell he needs a light here, you can tell he's looking there, just do it, and then boom, the DP's happy, and then you guys can go out with your day with a good shoot. But any highlights of the shoot? We did the spec ad that finally got finished up. We did a Levi spec ad. That's gonna be online soon, so I can't wait to show it off. That was a great project. It was like 20 people on that project, a great team. I think we made a lot of good friends on that project.
I got to be there like on one of the days, and I saw how big that crew was, and it was nice. It was
big crew, transmitters, receivers, rental lenses.
Legit, huge. Yeah.
My biggest surprise is like the locations. So shout out to Location Scout. We got some great locations, everything for free.
Location is so important, dude.
It's so important.
It's so important.
And the biggest thing I'm always annoyed when we do like projects is like when we can't find a good house location. Because like Florida looks like a lot of the Florida buildings look the same. The insides look the same. You walk in, to the right's the living room, to the left there's like 2 bedrooms, and then the kitchen's right there. It all looks the same carpet, but we got some really great bedrooms. I don't know who got those, but those bedrooms, I was like, somebody put some time, the person that lived there put some time and work into making.
Well, the art direction too, because I remember so I was able to go on one day to to the set, and like you walk in and it's like a regular Florida bedroom, like Amanda said, and then I don't know, 30 minutes later, you know,
Yeah.
you have like a couple of girls from the art department go in, and then when
Nice.
they leave, you look at it and you're like, okay, this is like straight up from a magazine.
Yeah.
This is straight up from a movie.
And they're running there with a haze
Sweet.
machine.
No, so good.
And then that highlights everything, you know?
Yeah.
Highlights everything.
I
that
just
they
saw a
created.
couple shots and I'm like,
Yeah.
That's really cool.
but what happened? Why did it not go to the show?
Yeah, you left me hanging. But it was a good time. I got some BTS video I got to show you of the showing.
We
was
had a
fun.
long day. That's why.
Yeah, so I don't want to jump into it because I know Fernando really wants to jump into it. But I'm gonna finish all that stuff up. But shout out to the crew. I'm definitely if the video's up by the time the podcast is, I'm gonna leave the link, and then you can find everyone who worked on that there. But other than that, we've been doing a lot of fun creative projects, a lot of commercial work.
Yes.
And we just finished up a new documentary.
So there's two things I want to talk about that I worked with you guys on that are in different steps of production right now. So the documentary, they're both technically in post-production.
Yeah.
I haven't really started editing the documentary yet, but I've looked at some of the shots and it's amazing. So great job on that. It was awesome. I will tell you guys about the documentary in a second. The other thing is the short film, Lady Killer.
Yeah.
It's like almost done.
Oh my
The
god.
visuals are done. So we have Joe Hodgen, our everything, our
Our
sound.
everything.
He's our sound. He did sound design, sound mixing. He did all of the Foley, all of the sound effects.
Yeah.
And now he's finalizing music. And once music is done, I mean, that movie is just going to hit so freaking hard. I already know. And this time he was able to put in like a little bit of time every day because he's working on like huge like Hollywood action films.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey bro, like every day I'm putting like some 30 minutes to an hour of work on this, and like I'm gonna be done this week. And I'm like, say less. I want to see this so bad. So I just want us to do like a private screening, but I already have 6 festivals I'm looking at to send it to.
Perfect.
And they're all like, 1 or 2 are like more general, and the other 4 are like specifically towards thriller and horror. So I'm very excited to send it to those, because usually when it comes to horror and to thriller, there's like an audience that already likes that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So these like geeks for that type of material are gonna show up and they love that. Like you're wearing the Jaws shirt, right? It's people that like love Jaws. They love like Terminator, or they love like Evil Dead. They love like, I don't know, Hitchcock movies, or you
And they know
The
all
Shining.
about
They
it.
know all about it.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, slasher films from like the 80s and 90s. So you send your film to that. It's like they know it's an independent film. They know about film. They know how hard it is to make a movie. So they're already prone to like being a fan of your stuff.
Yeah.
So it's really cool sending it to that. And then so we're on that. So what do you guys want to do? You want to do like a private screening of that? Do you want to just
think we
go
should
to-
definitely
I think we should do a private screening.
Yeah.
And
Especially with the amount of crew we got, we gotta make sure they see it all together. We gotta have a whole event with it.
Yeah. That's cool.
let's
What
make
are you thinking?
Hasten host the
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
We can
We
do a
gonna
whole
watch it
thing.
here.
Yeah.
We're all gonna have all the chairs here and just watch it. On
No.
TV. Watch it right there, the screen right
That
there.
crew, bro, we had like 30 people. We need like a freaking movie theater.
Yeah, everyone's sitting on each other's laps, just trying to like.
we need something
there.
big. That's what I'm saying. I don't
Well,
know.
let us know breweries, places in Orlando,
Yeah, yeah.
people
Honestly.
that could be interested in
Because the
having
thing
a
with
bunch
the
of.
festivals is the submission is right now, but like the actual festivals are like in October or November.
Yeah.
So there's like a big, gap between those two. So I want people to like be able to watch it soon.
Yeah.
And then in October, November, watch it again on the big screen in
Yeah.
the movie theater. You know what I mean?
Having
So that would be awesome.
good ideas.
Just do
Yeah.
it.
So let's think about it. But the main thing that we want to talk about today,
Dun, dun,
the
dun, 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 dun.
documentary with Katarina and Sam. It was one of the best times ever for us. So I'm not even gonna tell everything about their story because there is so much in their story, but people were seeing it on our social media and were asking us about it, right? And so briefly, I've known Katarina for a few years. She used to be a designer at Think, an intern at Think. When I was also an intern, I was part-time at Think, which is the advertising agency I worked at for years.
Long time ago.
Long time ago. She was an intern there. I was an intern there. And, after like a few years, she started dating, and now they're engaged and getting married, Sam. And Sam is a whole other story that we really wanted to tell because, well, he has a beautiful story, right? So he had an injury that, debilitated him, and he is right now tetraplegic, and he's not able to, he used to be a surfer. He used to be a very active guy, and he's not able to do a lot of those physical things that he used to do. But he is now honing into his other huge talent and love and passion, which is videography. So he has his wheelchair, and he's like at the beach piloting this drone, getting amazing shots. And you're seeing this drone flying around, getting beautiful shots.
His photography is so good too.
Yeah.
He's a great photographer. He's a great drone pilot. And he's like on his wheelchair at the beach doing his thing.
Yeah.
And everyone's so impressed by the quality of work and by how amazing his story is.
I think all of us jaws dropped when he flew the drone.
Yeah.
He just flew it up there and just phew, and it was flying it. And it's such an amazing story.
Such a skill, man.
Yeah.
Like you give me a drone right now, I'll crash it. No shame.
And he's just like.
And you see, like, oh my God, there's so many things. I'll probably quote this girl in her rejection, Marilyn, saying that you sometimes don't do things because you're first person that tells you no, and then you see somebody like Sam, and then your world changes totally.
Yeah.
Like he was amazing. Side note, fun fact. the drone that we didn't land, like he forgot landing the drone.
Yeah. So like here's what was happening, right? So we went to New Smyrna Beach for this. So it was like at the beach, that's where they live, that's where Sam and Katarina live. And Katarina is also an amazing artist. She's a designer, she's a painter. And so they go to the beach together to work on stuff. So we were getting some beautiful shots. I want to talk about cinematography in a little bit, and then about the photos as well. And kind of like go over our breakdown of how the crew worked out, because the crew was just us.
Yeah.
The three of us, we went to New Smyrna, drove there, got everything done, beautiful shoot date, and out. But the cool thing is that, we were rushing because we were like on the sand, and there's like, the tide is getting higher and higher, and it's coming in, and the water is starting to touch. And, he has the wheelchair, even though the wheelchair is fine because it's meant to work for sand specifically.
And special, he has to change the wheelchair, the one sand, that is like,
it's like a 4x4.
Condition, 4x4, yes.
Yeah, it's cool.
Legit.
But the thing is, if the water comes in, that's what he told us, like, it's not gonna work. So when we got done with the shots, we're like, okay, we're good, we're done. And he's like, okay, cool. Started packing up the drone, all the controller, everything. And then he's like, hold on, where is the drone?
And
I don't think you noticed, right?
The whole situation's going on. I'm over here with my camera, like setting it down, turning it off, putting the batteries.
And he's like, oh fuck, the drone is still up there somewhere.
It was the same panic. I think we all share the same panic. It's like when you feel like your heart drops, and it's
everyone put me,
where is it? And I felt like I saw it, but then I assume it just went down. So I started looking at the floor while everybody was looking at and there it was nowhere. And I was like, no, I imagine the worst.
And he's just like, oh my God, let's connect it back. And boom, boom, boom. We grab the phone, plug it back in, opens the camera. You see the POV from the drone. It's like flying. It's
flying.
Up there in the sky really high. And Sam is like on his wheelchair, piloting that thing back. And I'm like, how? How's this guy so freaking skilled?
Side note, there was a surf competition,
Huge, a surf competition.
The beach didn't feed a soul.
Yeah.
It was packed. If somebody sees a drone flying, they wouldn't, they could imagine,
The cool thing about with what I was saying is that you can drive your car to the beach.
Yeah.
And like, that's very, at least like, for me,
it was my first time there.
That's very rare to see a beach that you can like go in. I guess if you've been there and you're from Florida, it's like normal. But for other places in the world, it's not everywhere that you can park your car and like face the ocean like that.
Yeah, no, that was beautiful. No, it was a beautiful day.
It was
a great day.
It was so perfect.
I want to talk about like how so it was beautiful, right? It was great. It was funny. It was everything. It was emotional. I want to talk a little bit about how we broke down everything, right? So we started with pre-production, and then how we went into the actual crew, and then how we are going now into post-production, right? So I'm going to talk a little bit about the process. So my first thing was reaching out to them and seeing that, they needed that kind of content. So they were producing content already. They had some stuff on their page, but they lacked a little bit of that more high-level production. Because, as I said, Karina is a great designer. Sam's a great photographer, videographer. They deserve, content that's on the level of the stuff that they create. And right now, they were just doing things on their phone, which is fine. It's beautiful, and on a daily, I think that's what you should do. But once in a while, it's good to have that more branded content. So I reached out to them with that idea in mind. And then as we are talking, and as we got into a couple of calls and meetings, we were like, this seems like it's going to take the same exact amount of people and effort as if we just made a film about you guys. And the moment I said, we make a film about you guys, Sam, as a film lover, I could see that he was very enthusiastic about it and very excited.
You get the smile coming out.
I was like,
we were speaking the same language in that set. It's different when you come like as a creator and you have all your things and you communicate with your crew. We know they don't know, and it's like, oh, light surprise. But for them was like they know, and they were just so happy to see it. Like even with Empower Inc., no one of like the interviews had that experience before. I'll say only Stacy, she's been on TV and things like that, so she knows how to do an interview. But the rest of them, to walk in a studio was mind-blowing. To have a photo shoot, mind-blowing. So in this case was different because they're videographer, artists, they know the thing, they know how much it takes. So they were just so happy to be like collaborating with us. That's how I feel like they were doing it.
Sam said a couple of times is that he felt like his home was turned into a studio. And that's basically what we did. So here's how we did it, guys. It was the three of us, right? So those pre-production meetings happened. We kind of finalized everything, and I was like, okay, skeleton crew. When I think skeleton crew, I'm like, okay, let me take Emmanuel and Val. Like, that's like first thing in my head. Val has all the experience with documentaries. I know how much she's good at it, how much she likes doing it. And Emmanuel, DP, I know how he's going to light all the interviews. I know that we're going to be able to do something amazing if we go together. So I went in with my creative vision, with my creative direction. Val brought in, and Val did a lot. She was wearing multiple hats on that day, and I know that. She's getting the rate of one person and doing 10 things. And that's how we usually are on film sets. But she was doing photography. She was the gaffer. How was that experience for you?
It was lovely. I think
Can you tell us like all the positions you feel like you did?
I did for interviews, AD. I took all the notes. By the way, they're in the Google Drive. Okay. Gaffer for sure. Photographer. I did still photography and BTS, which is two different things. One, like still photography, you capture something that we're gonna see on the movie. BTS is us in action and people behind the cameras and also the setup. So I'll be turning on and off my brain. But I think the approach I had is like first light, because it takes time and equipment and all that, and then pictures. And then if I see something really cool, I'll have my camera hanging and just turn it on, take a picture and keep going. But lighting was definitely fun. As soon as I walked in the place, I saw this beautiful window next to the bed, and I was like, oh, we can have sunlight coming. So since we recorded the morning routine they normally have, and it was perfect to shine the 300X through the window in a nice hue, warm color. No, it was actually just a hue. And
it was like bringing in that like sunrise.
And it really did bring that early morning light. Exactly. My haze machine broke. I didn't know when. I really wanted haze, but we couldn't.
Nice.
Anyway, it's gonna still gonna
that's
look
the worst
good.
feeling when you're there, you're ready to turn it on, and it's like
that button never. Well, anyway, and I don't know what happened. And then I was in like 2 weeks ago in a different project, and I saw the technique of shining the light through the white cloth. And I noticed, because I use a lot the lantern, and I know how it hits, and it's a very unnatural light. So I do have a lot of flags, bunch of black cloth and whites and all kinds, and I just brought one, and with the C-stand I just shine it through it, and it looks so natural. So I was very proud of how the morning looked.
It's a very soft
light. Yeah, you don't get any shadow, but you get a good amount of light, because the little house was dark. If we didn't have much of that, we'll have harsh shadows, and we were not trying to make the
it was a
viewers,
good combo. The sunlight coming in looked, especially like we haven't talked about this, we use a filter with it, so the sun coming in looked nice and glistening. And it's always like people get so comfortable with soft boxes that they just use it for everything, but then you get stuck in that cycle of like the same look, but the same artificial look.
Exactly.
And the goal was that like I love what you did, was you bounce it off something, you bounce it off the Fusion or a whiteboard, and let the light get diffused and make it look like a room. Not make it look like there's light in there, make it look like that's how it's naturally lit, but we just boost up the shadows a bit.
It's complicated, not to play devil's advocate on that, but when you're either a videographer or you're a director, and because that's usually the two positions that will face that issue that I'm about to talk about, right? You want to solve 10 different department problems or concerns. That would be 10 different people on a huge film set.
Yeah.
And so you're walking into a room and you're like, okay, I need to do this type of light. Okay, it's 3-point lighting. Boom, 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 boom. I'm gonna do one here, one there, one there. Okay, what's the easiest way for me to solve sound? Okay, I'm gonna do a boom and I'm gonna do loud. All of these things that we do, there's a different way to do it. And there's a better way to do it. Thankfully, we had Val on set to say, hey, here's how we should do that, that second light, right? So we're gonna have the key light coming in, but instead of having a fill light being another light, like Emmanuel's saying, that could potentially look fake if you had it on like a lantern or on another diffusion, let's have it bounce off of something and create that soft light. That's an addition that having someone like you on set brings to the table, and there's value to that. And it's true, and it's fact, and that's why I had you on set. And you bring the right people so that hopefully on that moment of decision making, they're gonna tell you we should do this. That's what I don't want to put you in a box. It's actually the opposite of that. That's why you're there for, to support, to help, to make it better, to bring that value. Exactly. Same way when you tell me I don't think we should use a filter here. It's not that as the director I disagree. It's just I didn't think of that, but I never will be able to think of all these things. I don't think anyone should think.
It's always like, it's kind of like whatever position you are is where you're standing, and sometimes you can't see the straightest path because there's things blocking it. But someone can be sitting in a different angle and see the easier path because that's their position.
Exactly.
And then that's with everything. That's all the positions on set.
Totally. I feel like if we put this on perspective out of a set, for those that are not in a set normally but want to be in a set, I feel like the team player is how I'll say the triathlon of 3 people works. Somebody's really good at the bike, somebody's really good running, and somebody's good swimming. And then you run until you can, and then you pass to the other person. And then the goal is to reach and be first, or at least not die in the competition. But you know what I'm saying? Like, it's what I can bring to the table is out of what Emmanuel would do. But us as the 3, will meet the goal.
I love that.
Just do it,
Yeah.
but put in all the effort.
It's something we even got complimented on set. It's like, oh, you guys seem like you guys enjoy working with each other.
Yeah.
Where it's like, yeah, it's like they can't probably see that there's maybe like 2 or 3 disagreements already going on. But the point isn't to disagree while you're on set. The point is to like, okay, how can I make his vision better? How can you make my vision better? How can you make my job easier? It's like it's multiple things that we're doing for each other to make what our goal is easier to achieve. And it's a 3-way cycle of like, you're doing this, you're doing that to me, and then I'm doing that to Fernando, and then it cycles into each other, and then it creates a better product in the end.
So with that in mind, there's 2 more things I want to talk about. So that's the first location we talked about. I want to talk about the exterior shots with you and the filter you used and how you felt about capturing that, the kind of movement we were going for, the difference between handheld and shaky footage.
Yeah.
Huge difference. Like doing that handheld movement that feels real for B-roll versus doing something shaky that looks like you're just running around with the camera.
Yeah.
Right? And then after we talk about exteriors, I want to talk about the second location, okay?
Yeah.
Because I have a lot to talk about with the interviews.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about the exteriors a little bit?
Outside the house?
Outside the house, the beach, I mean everything.
Yeah. So some little nudge of what we use for the movie. We shot it with the camera we're using right now, the Canon C70. We had an 18-35 and a 24-70. We didn't go for prime lenses for budget reasons, but since we have these 2 great lenses, we use them. And for a little bit of a little stylistic choice, we went in there and we had a Cine Bloom, the Cine Bloom 10%, to soften up the image a bit. And then with that, we shot that in C-Log 2, and then went all in and played with the lighting. But with that base set, we were able to get so much softness, so much the highlight roll off, the nice blooming of the light, and we shot most of it handheld. I don't think we even used a tripod except for the interviews, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
No tripod other than the interviews.
Straight handheld, and just getting those pan shots, getting those that fun hit movement that we always joke around, or you put your feet down, you put the camera right to your body, and you just sway left and right.
Like this,
like
the
a
insect, the man.
praying mantis.
The mantis, they move like.
Left,
It's like a wave too, and it's like it's that breathing. It's like.
And you're fine with the shake because there's gonna be shake no matter what. But then you let it flow into what it's going. So looking at Sam's hands, then looking at his reaction, so moving it up, then moving it back down.
And even the focus, that's something we talked about. So if you're gonna go out of focus, there's purpose behind it. You're not just like blurred footage.
Yeah, it's just it's not like point A, point B, blurry for no reason. It's racking focus into it. We did use a lot of autofocus on this just because autofocus, if we're only looking at one position, it would look great. But we went to manual focus a lot to do the pulling shots, to transition from Katarina looking at Sam to Sam in the background, or the car here and then the house in the background, transitioning from blurriness here to things in focus. And it's just like using the tools you have in hand to amplify it. ND filters were amazing. Us going in and out of the house. Or,
built-in, right?
Built-in NDs. The Canon C70s built-in NDs, and then the FX6's NDs. We use both of those cameras, but just those 2 NDs of just, you don't even think about exposure. You just go in, it's bright.
There.
You don't have to like put another ND filter.
Since we have the Cine Bloom in the front, it'd be another hassle putting another filter. That's
just internal.
ND.
Boom, 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 boom. You keep your aperture low. You keep it very shallow depth of field. I like working with shallow depth of field.
Most of it was 1.8 to 2.8. I don't think we went any higher than 2.8.
So that's another quick thing, right? And then I think that segues into like the next subject, which is like the interviews, right? The interview session. First of all, how much thought goes into all of that, what you just said? Because I think you work every single day on a different project, and you don't realize how much thought, how much experience, how much the equipment costs. That's why video production is expensive. You have $1,000 lens, freaking thousands and thousands of dollar camera. You have lights, plus all the experience, the education that goes with it, for you to know how to use everything that you have, and then all of the creative thought behind all of this.
And that is on the fly.
On the fly. We didn't, it's on the fly, but it's also, we met beforehand to talk about things like the mood board, which is what I was going to talk about now.
It's so crazy.
So the cool thing is like we met Had a meeting, had a call with the client, then we had a meeting, just us. We talked about the mood board, and we talked about how we wanted it to visually tell their story. So I was thinking already, there's the ocean. That's huge for them. They've always, lived around the water and met, at, close to the beach. So at a beach city, at a coastal town, and it's
part of their story.
Part of their story in their life. So you need to have that blue be something important there.
Yeah.
And then what do you go for? You go for complementary colors. So you go for that orange or that yellow. That goes well with that. And the cool thing is that you worked on that mood. Do you want to talk about the mood board a little bit?
Yeah. Shout out to the mood board. I loved it.
Yeah. It's such an important thing. And I think I've learned these with creative projects with a lot of my friends where they go in depth with the mood board. And you're so surprised. You're like, wow, I feel like you spend more time today on this mood board than you were on the production, but that's how it's supposed to be. You go in there and you do the creative side and get everything nailed down before you even go on set. So the shots are all intentional. Everything, it's not like, oh, let's just go and just get footage just to get footage. Nothing on set was just capturing footage to capture.
No.
Everything was a plan. Every shot was gonna be added to tell a story, and the mood board helped a lot with that. So we go in there. I went, get a template and just go on Google Images and find the best things to complement a story like Sam's and Katrina's or Katarina's, and do the beach theme, do the sun theme, get colors that we can go in there. So we went in there and we got nice warm shots of the beach, people at the beach, the water, the interview setups we wanted to do, and that helped a lot during the interview.
And that's it for today.